If you were wondering, that's dog for welcome to clapped out. Should have planned the door closing a little. One more time. Let's try one more time. Welcome to clapped out. That felt terrible too. Welcome to clapped out. That was good. That works. That's good. Welcome, to clapped out. All right, so there's a lot. I'm doing too much Rye stuff. Like every time he does a video, he's like, all right. And then he goes into talking. And I just hate that. I mean, I hate him. So I guess that's part of me hating that. But other than me hating Rye, this is a great way to start this episode. Aside from that, we have updates for the Civic build, the EF all-wheel drive build. I'm gonna run you through what's going on with the car and kind of where we're at in the progression of the build. Also, you'll notice the red 240 is back in the stable. I'll have updates on this thing as well coming up in terms of, well, everything. There's a lot to go over on that car, but that's neither here nor there. This is all about the Civic. So what's been going on and what's gotten done on the Civic in the last couple weeks? Obviously the engine is in, transmission's in, we got the header on. There's a couple things to go over. First mostly, RBC manifold I picked up locally from CJ in town. He's got the hookup on this, so I was stoked. It was already mostly polished. I just hit it with a polishing wheel and shined it up some more. Throttle body and adapter for the throttle body. It will be cable throttle, so I'll utilize the OEM throttle cable. Still deciding on clutch, what to use for a slave cylinder kit, Hush Performance, or just Hasport or what. So anyone that has opinions on that, feel free to comment. My guys at Hybrid Racing, they hooked up like crazy on these shift cables. From a fit and finish standpoint, they've been awesome. So that's the first, those parts from Hybrid Racing are the first real parts I've had to purchase from a manufacturer because the car came with a ton of stuff. However, Hybrid, look at this box. It's insane. It's just empty now, but I sold a car to a guy that works at Hybrid Racing named David, and we stayed in touch since then. And when I bought this car, I hollered at him for some parts. What I scooped up was those shift cables because the shift cables that I got with the car were just, let me see. They're just crusty. You can see them right there. They were from an EP3. They were just crusty. Also, Hybrid Racing. Oh, something fell. Hybrid Racing shifter installed. So what this shifter's for an RSX. Hybrid Racing bolt-in shifter. You got to drill a couple holes in the floor. Install on this thing was super, super easy. But it's an RSX shifter with RSX shift cables using a CRV all-wheel drive trans. And as you can see, it engages all the gears just fine. Reverse, which is awesome. I was a little concerned on what was needed there. But again, Hybrid Racing came through in the clutch. That was awesome. All right. So that was a little bit of a chore to run those lines. They're hard to bend and maneuver because they are obviously pretty firm. But those went in. I have the turbo manifold lined up. I have the oil pan bung welded for the return. Also, if you notice, the car's on all four wheels. Coming over to the back, you can see we have rear splines right through the other one. So S1 built kit. Unfortunately, I didn't have the time to run the trailing arms up to Tox Scope. I can't pronounce his name, powder coating. But I did hit them with some paint before I installed them. And let me see if I can get underneath there. You can see, maybe you can, maybe you can't. I also installed, oh no, if you see that gold piece, that is a Blocks rear trailing arm kit. So the spherical rear trailing arm bushing is installed there, along with S1 built billet coilover mounts to get the shock away from the axle. And then these lower control arms and this cross brace came with the car when I bought it. They will not stay on the car. I still have to drop the gas tank to get the rear differential stuff put in there. But it is a roller again, so that is good. We can get this thing rolled around, which was a big headache, just getting all that stuff done. Not from like a parts acquisition standpoint, but just like the fab time and the downtime. If I could do it over again, I would have just bought the pre-made rear trailing arms and spent the extra money. So if you're on the fence, I suggest you just buy them already done.
Here's the thing about life. You know, you only got so much time. So if you spend your time, you know, welding and grinding and cutting and fitting, you know, instead of just spending the extra $400, whatever it was, on the pre-made kit, you're gonna have a better, you know, time. So do that. Just buy the kit done, or buy the all-wheel drive kit if you're a fabricator. I'm not a fabricator. I had to beg for favors. So that's where I stand on that.
Also, I would like to note that the lighting at floor level doesn't do my face justice. I looked very chubby and wrinkly, and I am not. I am tight and in great shape, if you were wondering. Now comes the voltage of the turbo, which we have there. That's what fell earlier. T3 gasket. Ooh, I'm so mad. I want to tell you why I'm mad. AGP turbo. You know, I don't like to do call outs, but I'm going to do a call out here. This upsets me because I think it's ridiculous that this isn't an option. Whew, I'm going to make some enemies right now. So if you buy a turbocharger, for example, I purchased a Borg-Warner SXE Supercore. All right, comes like that. Okay. You got to buy a turbine housing separately. The only place I could find with an S200 T3 turbine housing is AGP. AGP. Whew, man, I'm a salty peanut. Let me cool my jets. Let me take a fiver. Let me cool my jets. Whew, okay. All right. Okay. I'm cool. This is the second time this has happened to me, and fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on you. Fool me 3 times, it's always your fault. It's never my fault. So the turbine housing is like 250 or 300 bucks. I can't remember. Mid twos, let's just call it. That same turbine housing, you can get cast junkers overseas, and they're like 100 bucks or something, but they're all T4. I need T3, so it's a pretty exclusive piece. Cool. Here's where my beef is. Why would you sell a turbine housing and not include the brackets and the bolts to bolt it to the turbo itself? In what universe does that make sense? Ha! I've worked in e-commerce for a long time, and a button next to checkout that says, would you like brackets and bolts? $20, and I would have hit that button 10 out of 10 times. Instead, I got my turbine housing, and I couldn't install my turbo because I didn't have brackets and bolts. Whew. I know that's a pretty lame thing to cry about, so I hope AGP takes that with a grain of salt. And also doesn't put me on the ban list for buying stuff from them. But that did salt me up. I was a salty C that particular day. But at any rate, today I'm gonna get that turbocharger bolted up, and we're gonna start seeing how cold side piping is gonna lay out. So this turbo is an S200. I should probably, All right, so this turbo, that's way more professional, is S200. Its hood name would be the S257. So it is the equivalent of a 5761, which should spool pretty freaking quick. It'll run out of steam pretty quick too. I can't imagine this turbo making more than 550, really leaning on it with the size. It's not a big boy. So we'll see what it can make. But again, we need a turbine housing. That's where this comes into play. Again, AGP, don't hate me, but that's where this comes into play. Slide this sucker on. Do it one-handed while I'm filming so you can see how I bend all these blades. It fits like a glove. So now backing plates I gotta bolt up. Once I bolt those up, I'll be ready to mount this turbo. No new information in terms of how to mount a turbo, but I will share a couple things. Number one, that bolt down there I haven't tightened because it's a pain in the ass, and if I have to take this turbo back off before I'm done, I don't want to have to fight that bolt. So I snugged up the other 3 with a gasket, and I can also now loosen all the bolts around the compressor housing and clock this compressor housing. Now this turbo kit did come with intercooler piping, but I don't think it's gonna work. It's a tight fit. I don't like the way a lot of it lays out, so more than likely I won't even end up using that. Now the downpipe though, I'm really hoping this downpipe plays along, because it looks like it's not a fun time snaking parts through there. So let me try to one-hand this while I'm filming here. Oh my God, I should have been an acrobat. Could have done so many. Oh, there's no way in hell this is gonna work. Look at that. Oh God. I might have to put the phone down for this one. Well, try to get this just fitted up loosely if I can to show you. Well, first of all, it's hitting everything. I'm not sure what kit, if it was like the first generation Hasport kit that was on the other car or what, but let me see if I can get it to at least, yeah, it's gonna be tough. So it's not seating fully. You can see the gap there. This lobster tail pie cut gets it away from mount, which is nice, and away from booster area. But I will have to modify the downpipe to fit, and quite considerably it looks like, which is a bummer. Also, like, you can't see, I don't know if you'll be able to, probably not. So that's gonna be a good chunk of work, but I still have so much more to do. This video is not gonna be crazy action-packed. It's more of just a summation of where we're at. I still have all the wiring to do. I still have all the fuel system stuff to do. I still have subliminal messages to write on the windshield. But I do, like I said, I got a ton of stuff I have to do before I even get to that point, including the rear differential stuff. I got to send the drive shaft out to get modified properly. I mean, there is a mountain of work to get done on this car. So downpipe fitment is not a huge concern or a huge worry right now. It does suck, but at the same time, I expected it for chassis to chassis differences. If you haven't had a chance, go over and check out the podcasts on iTunes or Pod World podcast. I don't know what Android to use. The last podcast was super dope. Shout out to Mike Finnegan for coming on. If you have known or heard of Mike, Roadkill, Faster with Finnegan, Finnegan's Garage, he came on the podcast and with like 30 minutes heads up, came on the podcast and we had a killer time. New season of Faster with Finnegan premieres in 2 days now. February 3rd, I want to say, is the premiere. So if you haven't downloaded Motor Trend, pay the $3.50 a month, and that show is awesome. Give it a watch. Thank you guys. Like, comment, subscribe if you want to. If not, I get it. I wouldn't either. Everybody have a blessed week.